The sermon, the topic of my sermon this morning is a godly woman's identity when anchored in God's perfect rest. Now we have been told what our attributes should be as women. But if you don't have rest, you can never be a godly woman. If you don't have the rest of God, if you don't have that divine perfection of God, you will keep complaining. We all watched the drama, and we saw that woman that was constantly on the lookout for trends, that was constantly under pressure to want to show up as a made woman. But if God had settled her on all sides, I'm sure that she wouldn't be in that mood. And so I want to say to us this morning that we have to enter a rest through God's perfection before we can stand in the place of being a perfect woman. Before we go to our text, I'd like us to look at Luke chapter 10, verse 38 to 42. I want us to look at something there. There were two women in that story. If you are there, say, praise the Lord. If you are not there, say, wait for me. Okay, I didn't hear that. So it means you are there. Now I'll read. Now it came to pass as they went that he entered into a certain village. And a certain woman named Martha received him into her house. And she had a sister called Mary, which also sat at Jesus' feet and heard his words. But Martha was cumbered about much. And what was that much? Serving. Caring for our master to eat, and this, my sister, is just here. What Jesus said to him? He said, Martha, you are careful and troubled about many things. But one thing is needful, and that which Mary has chosen. That's the good part. Now, what does that tell us? It means that you will make effort. You will make effort, you will run around. But until God adds his blessing unto you, you will never be at rest. You will keep running. It's a rat race. And I tell people that I have opportunity to meet, I say, it's a rat race. Until God helps you or blesses you, you may never get to that point. Because even when you reach that point that you desire, you find that time has passed for you to glow in that point. And then there is a new point that you want to reach. So you keep running until God gives you his perfect rest and keeps you at the timeline that he wants you to be. And you realize that that's where he wants you to be. Because there's a difference between God putting you on your timeline and you realizing that that's where you're meant to be. Because some people look at others and say, why am I here when this other person is on the other side? And you don't even know that your journey is not the same. You don't even know where God is taking you to. Now, this story may look simple. If we are honest with ourselves, many of us are martyrs this morning. Am I correct? As women, don't we have things that bother us? Where is my microphone? Please, let's talk. As women, don't we have things that bother us? Please start from my mama here. Please, just mention one thing that you think bothers women and pass the mic around like that. Let's talk. Let's open there up today. Maybe our men will also hear.
How the marriage will work perfectly.
How the marriage will work perfectly.
How the husband will be okay. Like,
the microphone is not loud.
How?
It's not loud. Okay, while we are waiting for the microphone, you know, some of us are like Martha, and it's not as if we realize that we are under pressure. And it's not because we don't love God. And it's not because we are careless or irresponsible. We just want everything to be perfect. We just want everything to be at that point where we want it to be without realizing what God wants for us. Okay? And this is because sometimes life has placed so much demands on us. You want to take care of your husband, you want to take care of your children, then you suddenly remember that you have siblings. and you have parents. And then you're also running to take care of the siblings of your husband so that you appear as a good wife or you are the good wife. And then your husband's friends want to visit. It's still you. Your own friends want to visit. It's you. And the chain continues like that. So life has placed so many demands on us. And then some women, we are just under pressure to want to meet up. Okay? Okay, we'll skip that. We work. Who is not working among us? Who is a full housewife? We work. Even when it's not the corporate work, some of us are business owners. In fact, you see those of us that you see at home and it feels like we're not going anywhere, we're working. No. Some of us work online. I don't mean housework now. I mean work that brings in money. I remember when one of my neighbors, when my husband passed away, and she came and said, and we're even just saying it that it seemed like you're a full housewife. I'm like, okay. What gave you that idea? And he said, because you don't go out, we don't see you go out. I said, okay. And say, they were expecting me to express myself. I said, well, it is well. And then they said, we're just wondering how you carry on. I said, the Lord is there for me. I mean, I didn't even know where to start to tell these people that first of all, I'm a civil servant. And before you wake up, I'm on my way driving to Itakpe to go and take a class. It's 3 hours journey. And sometimes I have 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock class. So we are working. We want to provide. Sometimes you come out as a woman and they think it is your wife your husband that has clothed you. And sometimes you have, being that understanding woman and taking the money from your purse to cover that part so that if he has, he returns. And sometimes they owe us, they don't return. All right? That's the providing part. Sometimes you run around to clothes, to do things for the children. They say, Tony, there's a book that we open. The other day I opened my book and I was just shaking my head. I said, this man did not pay me all my money. And I was laughing. All right? So these are the things that women carry. And it's too much of load. And you are asking her to be a godly woman. So when that man comes in and he says one thing, the woman says 10. Because she is already on the edge. She's already burning up. She's already carrying too much. When will she find rest? When will she give herself rest? When will she go back to God to say, Lord, I need your rest? In that drama, you see the other woman, she was praying, Lord, please let my husband get the contract. Because when there's money in the house, everybody will have rest. Everybody will have rest. At some point, we had to create altar in the house, myself and my younger sister. And then we would pray. Of course, my husband would say, hey, he wants to do this, he's expecting something. We would pray. One of those days, and that thing happened, and we say, Emore Adra, wow, we prayed for you. And he said, do you know how many people are praying for me? I said, we shall pray for you. But when that thing came, even if it doesn't come directly to you, it settles the house, and you are able to relax and probably use your money for something else. And sometimes they pay you percentage and say, hold this one in case anything happens. In case anything happens, the money is your own. I mean, nothing happens eventually. Majority of the time, when there is resources. Because everything is provided for. And because you have prayed to God to provide that for your husband. It doesn't mean that the husband that God has not given so much to, that the wife should expect that, look at what they are saying. Whatever comes to your hands goes totally to the home. No. We have to balance it. Sometimes you come into marriage knowing fully well the financial capacity of this man. And I think that from the place of courtship, now this goes to our single sisters. It's not just to have courtship and go to hang out or, go and buy shawarma somewhere, sit down and gist and watch movie. There is a place of discussing what your future life will be, or what your life will be at the current state. Because some people go ahead into marriage with the hope of the future. And when it's taking time for that future to come, then there's friction in the house. And from my analysis and from the counseling unit that I belong to, and some of the times I'm the one that collects this data, majority of the reason why people fight in the house and the marriages go on to fail is money. Is money. Leave the devil and his operations. When he wants to come into the family, he comes through money. When there is not enough to run the house, or when he possesses the man to take the money out and do other things, and you know that the man has money, just like that drama. The man has money and he has allotted that money to things, but not for the house. The problem starts. Or sometimes this woman has agreed with this man to enter into this marriage, knowing fully well his financial capacity. And then the devil possesses him and possesses her and says, look at your friend. Look at your friend now. But you had an agreement with this man to come into this marriage at this stage and in that state. Why are you now under pressure to meet up with your friend that must have had another conversation with her? Is her own man. Why? So these are the things that the devil does to women and cumber them. Now, what should we do? If we have all of these issues, what are we supposed to do? You need to understand one thing. There are some truths you must understand. If you must have an activity that you want to go into or you want to undertake, then you must have an identity. You must have an identity. And just like we looked at that Luke chapter 10, we saw that Mary sat. Martha was moving about. But Jesus said one thing was needful. That means that not everything we are doing carries equal weight before God. You just think, when I do this, God will love it. And God does not really care about that as much as he cares about you being an assistant priest in your family. Majority of the time we'll say the men should be the priest. But from my statistics, I have found that women are more in the place of prayer than men. And then the man that you married as a 5-minute prayer man, you now want him to stay in the place of prayer with you for 1 hour. That is not possible. So what should you do? You have to take on that identity. Gradually, if he agrees with you, just like he agreed with you to marry you, then he comes up to meet you where you are. But you can't force that. Whereas you need to be able to communicate with God for your home to stand well. So a godly woman's identity is not built on how much she does or where she is rooted. It is built on how she is able to put all the resources within her reach that God has put into her to uphold herself. Now, what is the truth we should know? I've mentioned one. I said you should know your identity. And that your identity comes before the activity you want to do. So know what your home is. Your home is not of Sister A is not the same with Sister B. And so you cannot be doing the same activity. So identify what is happening in your home before you set out. If we go back to Titus chapter 2, verse 3, it says, the aged women likewise, let them be in the behavior of holiness. Can someone read for us? Titus chapter 2, verse 3. So the older women should not slander. They should not give false accusation. Not giving too much wine. They should be teachers of good things. Now, did you see the responsibility that was placed on the older women to teach good things to the younger ones? But what did he start with? There is an activity for them to do, but they were first identified. The older women, this is what you should do. Now that is their capacity. It is your identity that gives you capacity for what you should do.